And we're live. Welcome everybody here to the Lakers Lounge podcast. I'm Anthony Irwin, senior insider for the senior Lakers insider for Clutch Points. Joined on this fine, what is it, Thursday night? It's a Thursday night by
Yep.
Raj Chapalu on the heels of the Lakers going into Milwaukee. They're actually competing. The second or like the third unit, I guess is what we would call them. The third unit is actually staying in it this time. They aren't getting run off of the court. So that's been kind of fun to watch. Tonight, we are going to be talking about the Lakers and Bucks game. We're going to be talking about something that I noticed in watching this Lakers and Bucks game, specifically at the shooting guard position, something I'm really, really excited about, that competition for minutes between Max and Dalton Knecht. Max Christie and Dalton Knecht, they are not married. And then we are going to be talking about the report from Shams Charania of the no longer of The Athletic. He is of ESPN now, who said on their airwaves that the Lakers are going to be looking for a big, something that if you guys are steadfast listeners here of the lounge or readers of my content, something I have mentioned a few times in the past, but I guess we can rehash it and discuss some of what might be going on there. And then if there's time, I really don't want to spend like more than 3 minutes on this. But we also got a report from Shams about the potential plan for Bronny James and how soon he could potentially take the court with LeBron. So, and then I sent out a tweet that I didn't think would ruffle that many feathers. But it did. Piss people off, and here we arrive now at a point where people think I hate Bronny, which I just is not true. So anyway, let's go ahead and start though with the Lakers Bucks game. They were down at halftime when all of the starters were still playing, and then AD played a few more minutes on the other side of halftime. LeBron, hilariously, did you see this? They came out of halftime. And D'Lo was like standing on the court, and they didn't know whether or not LeBron was going to play.
No communication.
So it was like you can kind of see D'Lo like, guys, we have 4 guys. Hello. And then finally, I guess JJ yelled down the bench. All right, Max, get in there. He's already in, coach. Shit. Cam, get in there. And then we got 14 minutes of Cam Reddish tonight. Something you noticed immediately after the game, 14 minutes for Cam Reddish.
Yeah, that's probably too much, Cam. I tweeted this out, and I'm gonna keep beating this drum. There's a defensive minded player in there somewhere. It's hidden behind all this player that wants to be an offensive, scorer, but I think there's like elite defensive player in there. 14 minutes, way too much for Cam Reddish. Let me see the young guys. Maxwell Lewis got in the game, Anthony. We were talking about him last show. He actually played. He had a dunk that he got fouled. I believe he got fouled on. We got some of the G League guys. A nice like preview for the G League, kind of like JJ Redick, allowing those guys to get some, chemistry before that season starts in November. But 14 minutes. That's a lot. That's a lot of Cam.
They are technically still playing right now. The lineup is Dalton Knecht, Armel Traore,
Goodwin,
looks like Maxwell Lewis is out there, Colin Castleton, and trying to see who 41 is.
I think is that not Jordan Goodwin?
I think that is Jordan Goodwin. He just
has a headband on
3 a second ago. Bronny is not on the court. JHS is also not on the court. Kind of interesting. That's a little interesting, right?
I mean,
JHS not being out there is a little weird, right?
Yeah. I mean, this is the time to get those guys who are probably going to be cut in a few weeks.
Yeah, that's true.
Get them their last minutes.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm not saying, I'm not judging. I always feel like people jump to like the worst conclusions on my stuff, and I kind of get it because of how long I've been the way that I am. But I'm just, it's just something I noted that those 2 guys aren't out there. But yeah, the Lakers currently hold a 95-92 lead with 4:21 to go here in the game. What did you see though? Like what did you like from the starters or from kind of the primary actors in the first half of tonight's game.
So I appreciate Anthony Giannis for going 130 miles per hour, because Giannis has one of those games to me where he will embarrass you if you're not up to speed, right? Like this looks like a preseason game where, and I understand it, where probably LeBron and AD wanted to kind of, work their way in the game.
Yeah.
And Giannis was like, we're not doing that tonight.
No.
Every single time I get the rebound, I'm pushing in transition. And he drove, and that wakes up the competitor. I'm sure, not that they don't have that, but I like that we got a little bit of real basketball, and I like
Giannis got like a chase down block on LeBron.
Yeah.
Then LeBron tried to return the favor, and Giannis got an and one out of it.
He got an and one. Yeah, we got some cool like battles of the behemoths where it was AD versus Giannis 1-on-1, right? And Giannis went at him, and AD got a block where he pinned it to the backboard. Those two are always a really fun matchup. But I like what I saw. Like, I like how we moved in transition. Rui, again, I think is the biggest benefactor of having LeBron and AD out there. The Bucks had to kind of put Brook Lopez on him, and then in transition, Rui got some, open baskets. He got to the rim nicely. I thought Max Christie did a nice job on Dame, who still just does not look like the Portland Dame to me.
It stuck out to me tonight too. He's not like generating any space, and obviously, I think pretty highly of Max as a defender. I think Gabe can really get after it too on that side of the ball. So it doesn't necessarily shock me that Dame would kind of in the preseason struggle against that kind of competition or whatever. But I saw him like not look all that comfortable sometimes with D'Lo guarding him.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm like, and it was funny because the Bucks, because I wasn't able to watch the Spectrum feed on this one because it's on NBA TV. And I obviously do not live in LA. And the Bucks booth, they're kind of recognizing this too, and they're like, credit to LA's got some really good defenders over there. In hold on one second, his name is Max Christie, and hold on, the other guy who's guarding him out there is Gabe Vincent, who you might remember from Miami.
Yeah.
And then they were like, and even, that D'Angelo Russell guy he's a long defender too. He's a longer guy. And I'm like, look, man, if you're saying nice things about D'Angelo Russell as a defender,
right,
about Dame Lillard not being able to really get by or create space against him, that's a problem. That's not great.
Yeah, all of Dame's shots to me, they were all highly contested. I mean, he hit a few of them because he's freaking Damian Lillard. But yeah, like that at least stood out to me. But for me, Anthony, this looks like the Gabe Vincent we signed a year ago. Like you mentioned, his defense moving so much better. We're running more actions for him. People in my replies being like, maybe Darvin didn't run enough for him. I mean, maybe but he also just could not move like he does now. He had a bunch of floaters. I thought that looked really good. His 3-point shot was there. I'm liking what I'm seeing from Gabe. It's gonna be tough to kind of push him in, like, again, a 9-man rotation is gonna get tight. I know that's kind of the next topic here, but yeah, I like what I see from Gabe. I think they're playing well. Milwaukee switches a lot, which forced us to do a lot more like ISO one-on-one offense. 80 hit 3 jumpers, Anthony, which is like, thank God they were all mid-range. I think the 3-pointer, we kind of just gotta give it. It doesn't look close.
Raj,
like it's not even close.
No, Raj.
They're not
I disagree vehemently.
But I'd rather him get the mid-range jumper
if he's like not close in preseason, but he needs to shoot them,
That he should work his way out, right? Like
for sure. I'm fine
like
that.
Like the mid-range should like get him comfortable with the midi and then go and take threes, not second play of the game, pick and pop, and it's an open 3. Like those are going to be short almost every time. I'd love for him to get that, like get his kind of swag going off the dribble. Like he's a guy that like I think gets confident with more baskets that go in. I think the 3-pointer is so far off that like let's just get that mid-range back. Let's get the pick and pop to the mid-range to the free throw line back, and then we can work the 3. But JJ obviously has, and you have different have different ideas on this.
No, I really think, and this is something that I've been hammering home basically all preseason, and that like you need to have him overcompensate with 3-point shooting in the preseason, and then he's going to regress in the regular season when he can actually see statistically he's really struggling from there. And
Yeah.
he's a guy who it's why, people always wonder, like, why does he kind of fade away? Why doesn't he get as many attempts over the course of a game and late into a game? And I think a lot of it is because, like, I think he takes mistakes or errors really personally. And
Mm.
and it makes him reluctant to shoot. And over the course of the game, that space that he becomes interested in shooting from gets closer and closer and closer to the basket, to the point where I think if he is too focused on only shooting around the rim, he
Right.
becomes a little too one-dimensional. And this was something you and I really agreed on over the course of the year last year, where it was like, I don't care if you miss a couple middies, take
Take him.
them. Like, I don't
Take him.
care. Just like let them rip. And that's kind of how I feel about the preseason right now with AD. Is like, I don't care if you miss them. I don't care if
Yeah.
they look ugly. Let them fly now, because you're going to regress. And if he's shooting like 3-pointers a game in preseason, over the course of the season, that's going to shrink further and further and further down to, like, he'll probably finish the season averaging about like one and some change 3-point attempts on the year.
Yeah, sure. Like I can see your point there. I think it's so far away. Like again, I don't the players usually don't go from shooting 20, what he should, like, I think 18% or 26% from three to becoming, a consistently good shooter. I don't mind him taking him at times. I'm not telling AD not to shoot. I think the mid range is so much more important for him, for the team, being able to be a release valve for this team, right? Again, I think you saw it tonight with Milwaukee. The reason AD took a bunch of mid-range jumpers, because all that screening is nice, but like when teams switch everything, all of a sudden it's like, no, we need a guy who can go get his own basket. And AD hit, I believe all three were over Brook Lopez. I'm not counting Anthony, the ones he scored in the second half. The guy he scored on just had no business guarding AD. I can't pronounce his name correctly, but
Or something like that.
yeah, that guy should not be guarding AD like at all. So AD got like a bunch of points on him. I think the scoring
That guy
over Brook
looked
Lopez.
like what would happen if, like, you asked an 8th grader to draw Mason Plumlee.
Did you see the first play? The guy like fell. AD went to the basket and barely even like moved him, and the dude was on his knees looking up, like, man, like I should not be guarding him. And AD got like a layup and one. I was like, yeah, this is not what's supposed to happen.
It's pretty rare you see somebody gets their ankles broken in post defense. That's a new one. Like, I was watching it. Yeah. Like, AD took like one dribble and he looked up. He's like, "What? Where'd this guy? Oh, you're down there. Okay." Wow. He got fouled too. It was great. It was amazing. It looked exactly how it would go. Like, if I showed you a picture of this dude, I'm gonna pull up a picture of this guy, and then I'm gonna show you, like, what he looks like, and I would ask the audience how you think it would go. Pazinski, Bucks.
Oh, the guy that played tonight,
Walter Pazinski, I think.
Yeah, I think that's who it is. He's the only backup center I believe they went to.
No, Walter Pazinski died at 61 years old. I don't think it's Walter.
Okay. I don't have the box score up. That just sounded right. I don't know. Yeah.
No, I mean, he looks like a Walter. Bucks roster.
It's an N. I can't. And that's Anzejs.
All right, Pazanix.
Yes, Pazanix. Yes.
All right, I'm gonna pull up a picture of him and I'm gonna throw it here onto the. Like, look at this guy. He looks like somebody. Like, he looks like a lone wolf. Let me find this thing. Put this in here. There he is.
He played pretty well tonight.
Look at him. Look at this guy. That guy has no chance.
Yeah, he should not be guarding AD. Like, that's not really fair. That's a Doc Rivers, Darvin Ham mistake.
He looks like a bad Kristaps Porzingis costume.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't go well. So yeah, I don't know. I'm with you on the what the late, like, trying to find counters. It's going to be interesting. I know there aren't too many counters when a team switches as much as the Bucks do.
Yeah.
And it's going to kind of devolve naturally into ISO ball. That's the whole point. The
Yeah.
Lakers are actually set up pretty well to handle ISO ball because you're going to have AD out there. He's probably going to have a mismatch. You're going to have LeBron out there. He'll probably have a mismatch. And if those guys don't, then you'll definitely probably have a mismatch for Rui. So like, I'm not too worried about teams switching against the Lakers, but I'd also like to see a little bit of creativity beyond just like, okay, well, if this is what you're going to do, let's go ahead and find the right mismatch here. Mismatch hunting is fine for the last few possessions of a game, but over the course of a game, that can get you out of your rhythm. Is there anything that you would kind of point to and look for to better handle some of those situations as another pitch to throw throughout the game?
Yeah, I like
Maxwell
what
Lewis just dunked on all of Milwaukee.
Oh, nice. Yeah, he's an insane athlete, and that's kind of the only thing he has right now. But what I like what they're doing is a lot more where AD has the ball and like a guard is screening for him, right? Like Milwaukee switches pretty much 1 through 4, but usually on their smaller guards, like they don't want to switch a Dame on those guys. So you saw D'Lo and Mike Trudell brought it up on the broadcast how they're like really emphasizing screening. Which is something like I've been hammering home for the last 2 years, 3 years, even during the Vogel era. But D'Lo coming up and setting screens, or whoever the guard is screening for AD. Like I like those inverted actions where they screen for LeBron as well. So that's something that LeBron's done his whole career. That's something that I want AD to do more. And this kind of fits with what we're talking about, Anthony. We're like, AD, like you have reign to do whatever the hell you want. Like you don't have to play in the system. Like go take whatever shot you want. Go get 15 to 20 shot attempts a game. And like, I think that's where you'll get it, where he can get going downhill instead of just, hey, AD, here's the ball at the post, go drive into 3 guys and try to get a shot up. But I like what they're doing. The offense looks solid. It looks good. The transition defense, I mean, Giannis is Giannis, so it's tough to kind of compare that, but there's some work to do there. But offense
Castleton
looks
was a
good.
great play. You aren't watching this game, are you?
I'm
It's
not,
coming down
no.
the wire. This would technically be a pressure cooker, which, by the way, I think we're going to be doing this year in close games late. We'll probably go live in the lounge playback to kind of close out those games and then get ready, obviously, to go live right after them. But Castleton made a really nice defensive play. Ooh, tough call there. The Lakers are way up. No, never mind. It's 107-98, not
Oh, wow.
97-98.
For some reason, I thought we were down. I was looking at the scores. Like, how is it a pressure cooker? Aren't we down 9? But I guess we're up.
No, we're up
9.
9. No,
Up 9.
I there's a treadmill in my office, and one of like the handlebars is like is blocking off the
I see.
shocker, right, to people on Twitter that I have a treadmill in my office, but I do. Do I use it? Anyway, so let's go ahead and the other thing that I wanted to talk about tonight is this Max versus Dalton thing, right? You mentioned it in passing as far as Gabe goes and his minutes. And I do think the backcourt minutes are going to be tough to come by, right? That's part of why the whole Bronny thing is really kind of complicated, because it's the only spot in this roster that the Lakers are actually really crowded, is the position that Bronny plays. But at shooting guard, you have Dalton Knecht and you have Max Christie. Christie, I think, will get the nod early. Dalton is somebody that I know the Lakers are really going to try to push as a major organizational success, because there was nothing else that they were able to accomplish over the summer. So there's going to be, reason for both guys to really kind of make a push for this. Off the top, everybody benefits from these guys competing for it, right? The Lakers benefit organizationally. Max and Dalton are both going to push each other and wind up being better players as a result of this. And whoever comes out on top, I do truly believe is really going to earn it. And the Lakers will be better because that player is going to be a better player. Whenever we see them on the court. What are your thoughts on Max? Do you see it as a competition? It's not as if like only one can be in the rotation.
Right.
Pretty close, but it's not necessarily. It's more a matter of like who gets more minutes than the other guy.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be fun to watch, I think.
Yeah, Like I saw that. I think both need to be in the rotation, and I think when Vanderbilt gets back, it makes it a little tricky. But I think the 9 right now, I think they're both clearly in it. I love what both of them do. I think Max is going to be hard to keep off the floor. Again, you just look at the athletes that are out there. It's like very quickly goes. If you take out AD, it's like, well, where are our athletes? It's like Max Christie, and then it like gets to Cam Reddish very quickly. Like, so like I think Max is like super important. I think he hit 2 catch and shoot threes again tonight. And I think they're trying to have him do some on ball work. He's not there yet with that, but I don't think he needs to be. When Austin gets back, D'Lo, LeBron, Gabe, right? These are all guys who can handle the ball, and Max can kind of play his lane. And Dalton does a lot of stuff where like he's a better rebounder than I thought. He has a better nose for the ball than I thought. On those Giannis transitions, he was the only one willing to get in the way, which I thought like showed something. Now he got absolutely mauled, but like I thought he did a good job, at least not, because a lot of players, they make the little business decision and just get out of the way. I thought Dalton did a good job of at least trying to, put himself in harm's way with Giannis. And yeah, he didn't shoot the ball too well tonight. I think it was like 3 for 12. But I like, what he does, and JJ runs like specific plays for him. And like you look down our roster, there's not really
he drew him up on draft night. Remember?
Exactly, on the whiteboard. He took off all the he erased everything else and just.
Who'd we get? Okay, hold on.
Like JJ, we had it numbered. Like that's the only place we wrote it. Now we don't know who to draft. Oh no, Bronny was. Well, never mind. But no, I thought I think it's nice that like we actually run stuff for him that like we can't really run for anyone else. No one else curls off threes like that. When players go under screens on him, he's firing at an even quicker rate now. So I think both of them are firmly in the rotation. Again, when Vando gets back, he can kind of cut down. But for right now, I know Christian Wood's in the name that I'm not really interested in seeing in the rotation. But like, so like I think both of them, Anthony, should be firmly in and are necessary. I think Dalton might be even older than Max. I have that right, I believe.
I think so.
Yeah, Max just turned 20.
He was an older prospect.
Right. So both of them in that kind of prime can play big minutes, can take the hits of a regular season. You need both of them, Anthony, at big minutes. I think they both need to
it's actually not close. What
is it?
Dalton is 23. Max is still only 21.
Yeah. For some reason, I thought it was the other way. Maybe just because Max has been here for 2 years. But yeah, I think both of them should be. I don't see it as a competition between both of them.
Well, no, it is, right? Because they play the same position, and one guy is going to get more minutes than the other guy. It's healthy competition. It's actually the kind of thing that when Rob took over, it was something that he really wanted to implement as a big part of the Lakers culture, right? Is this notion of productive competition between guys. And that was something that they went away from when they brought Dennis Schroeder in and basically handed him the starting gig, even over Alex Caruso, who had just started in the finals the year prior. Mm-hmm. And so like, I think this, I think it inherently is a competition because one guy is going to get more minutes than the other. But I don't put that in a negative connotation at all. I think it's purely positive, and it's something that the Lakers can truly benefit from. These guys pushing each other in practice every day, pushing each other, and working to get minutes over each other and learning from each other. I like this is the kind of thing that like if it's handled correctly, it'll actually bring those two guys a little bit closer too, because when you compete against somebody like that and you really push them, there is, when somebody initially gets the nod over you, you're going to be a little annoyed. But if that competition continues and eventually you feel like you have a chance at working your way back into the rotation over that player, and eventually you do, and that goes back and forth often enough, it does wind up being something that like, you can ask anybody who's ever been on a team that brings those positional guys a little bit closer. So I love the idea of it. I love watching it in practice, to the extent that we can. And the other thing too is like you hit on it. they both play pivotal roles to what the Lakers need from guys at that position. They haven't had a guy really at that position who can do the things that it appears that like they can do on both sides of the ball. Like they get after it defensively and physically on both sides of the ball. It's really fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure. And while you're talking, I was just thinking it's nice to have like young players. Like obviously Austin was the first, but just having young guys that you can kind of invest in their development, right? After the last few years, the Lakers didn't have many draft picks or they just sent them away. So it's nice to have two guys you feel like are kind of will be with the Lakers for a while. Also, Anthony, something about tonight, and I'm not saying this should be the permanent thing. You talked about this earlier in the offseason about and people are like, this will never happen. But we got to look at what Max Christie starting with the regular rotation. And man, the just athletic floor that jumps up because Max Christie's in there versus obviously it was Austin tonight, but obviously with either of them, it's like, man, we were able to like throw him on to Dame and be like, just run around and bother the shit out of him.
Turn that up. Hey, DJ, turn that up. Let's go.
Just bother him and then come in for two-handed rebounds, right? Assist AD and rebound. I'm watching this. I'm like, man, we look way more physical out there. And I realized, oh, Max Christie is starting. Yeah, I just thought that was an interesting wrinkle to get a look at tonight. And obviously, he started the second half too, but without LeBron. But like just that combination of LeBron, Rui, Max, and AD, all dudes who are like super athletic at their position. As a positive, it's just I thought that was an interesting look, and I'm just tucking that away for later. I don't think we'll see that starting anytime soon, but yeah, it was an interesting look to see Max out there with that group.
It's going to be interesting to see what the market winds up looking like initially for D'Lo when the Lakers really start canvassing it, because if it doesn't look fruitful and they really do truly feel like they have to commit to like D'Lo being on the team or getting up his trade value, whatever, I could see them moving Austin to the bench and moving Max into that spot. D'Lo is just more like, I know in theory they wanted to get Austin on the ball more and they wanted to, make him a bigger part of the offense, all of that stuff. But just naturally, D'Lo's always going to command the ball. He's just, he's better at it than Austin is. And if it does look like the Lakers want to, if Max looks like he's really kind of stepping into his own and looks like he maybe should be starting because the Lakers need that kind of perimeter defense out there. There are worse decisions to be made here than that one. I personally would still prefer Austin to get the first bite at the apple here, starting alongside Max. But if the Lakers feel like they have to, or they're going to go through the entirety of the year with D'Lo on the roster, you kind of have to, like, your hand gets forced to a certain extent.
Yeah, I think the issue, and this is probably a longer conversation, but like, what do you need around LeBron in the regular season versus the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
In the regular season, I think D'Lo is the much like better option that you'd want, a guy who can kind of command the offense more of a pick and roll guard, right? And kind of, hey, here's your side of the floor, D'Lo, just operate there. But in the playoffs, like, I want a player who's perfect off the ball, right? Who absolutely leverages the gravity that LeBron has to attack closeouts, to make moves, to get to the line, right? And that's all Austin to me, and I love him in that role. In the regular season, I think it's different. So it's a tough way the Lakers have to walk. But yeah, I don't see that starting lineup changing anytime soon. I just don't think you can bench either of the guards.
If I had a bet on it, I would probably bet, especially seeing what that could potentially look like. Like, it's going to be really interesting the first time we get a look at Austin and Max back there. If D'Lo misses a game or something like that, what that's going to look like, what the response to it is going to be. I know I'm going to be glued to the TV. And like, even if it isn't from the start of a game, like the first time that we get that lineup out there where it's Austin, Max, Rui, LeBron, and AD, like that group, I think is going to, like, I bet at the end of the season, that'll be one of those groups that we look back on and be like, yeah, Yeah, let's get more of that. Let's get more like midway through the season. We'll look at it and say like, okay, this is a group that probably needs to play a little bit more together.
That had to have played a minute last year. There's no way that unit didn't play a single minute last year. I'm gonna go and check when we get
Hey,
off
did you
Blackout.
see that nobody like they didn't show a clip? And I was watching the Milwaukee broadcast, so maybe it's
Uh-huh.
different on the Lakers one. I didn't see a
Mhm.
clip of a single Laker go over there.
I didn't either, and it's very weird. It was like it was very private, like mentioned, through the broadcast once. I think that Darvin Ham. Oh yeah, Darvin Ham's also over there. I was like, oh man, like
Yeah,
that
I
was
don't
it.
think they wanted to call any attention to the fact that nobody went over there. Like, I was joking with some people, behind the scenes over the course of the game, like, "Hey, do you think so and so went and said hi? Do you think so and so went and said hi?" And then I was like asking, it's like, man, who would be the guy to actually say hi? And somebody said like Cam. I was like, oh yeah, yeah, that's probably it. But I don't know if he's even that kind of guy either. So like I didn't see it. I'm not saying it didn't happen. Definitely didn't happen. I was looking for
Yeah,
it at the end of the game too. Didn't see too much there either. So again, like I mean, it was reported on all last year. It's been something that the Lakers have been taking very thinly veiled shots
yeah, not subtle
all
at all.
off season and training camp. Um, I figured maybe somebody would do like the politically correct thing and just kind of go over there and say like, "Hey, what's up, coach? We're happy you're
Yeah.
not here." Cover the mouth while they're saying it, like, "Hey, coach,
Oh man.
hey, did you see JJ runs actual plays? Do you
Ah,
see? Hey,
man.
do you see that they don't, you know, you see his hands aren't in his pocket right now? Darvin, your hands are in your pocket right now. Get your hands out of your pocket. You can't dap me up with your hands in your pocket. Um, no, it was something I was looking for, and it was funny to kind of see that take place. Um, ESPN reports earlier today that the Lakers are looking for a big. They are already doing their work to look for a big. This is something that I first mentioned it like day one of training camp at JJ and Palinka's press conference there. Eric Pincus, really kind of pushed him on it, right? Do you have a traditional center on your roster?
Right.
Um, and they didn't love the question. I guess they kind of pulled him off to the side after or he pulled them off to the side after. And they told him after the press conference was done that no, they don't have one, and that they probably will be looking for one.
Yeah.
I was told heading into camp that was going to be something, especially Christian Coloco still hasn't been cleared.
Yeah.
And I there's a world here where he doesn't get cleared. I don't think that is the likelier outcome here. I think it's more likely that he gets cleared. They're just being super careful with the issue that he had. But remember, Chris Bosh was never cleared by the NBA. He was cleared by independent doctors. He was cleared by his own doctors, and his own doctors said that he was ready to go. Bosh was willing to sign a waiver to be able to get back into the
Yeah.
league, and the NBA said no.
Couldn't risk it.
So they're hyper cautious
Careful. Mhm.
with careful and cautious about the situation. I'm old enough to remember Hank Gathers going down at Loyola Marymount. I also have a heart condition, and it was something that my mom always tells me that that was her like top fear, like biggest fear in the world was I would just stop running at some point and then just drop. And so this is something that like the league is going to be super careful with. They are being super careful with, and there's a world here where Christian doesn't get cleared. They would
Yeah.
then have that two-way spot open, and I believe they would use that two-way spot to bring in another big. There's just very slim pickings out there. And at this point, like the state of the rotation is such that a two-way guy can't be your solve.
Right. This report, and again, I'm not saying Sham's reporting is not correct. It's just this is like turning your homework in when like the NBA, no, it's not, excuse me, NBA, when like your final testing is in 2 days, right? Like the teacher's like, what? Turning in homework from like from like 3 months ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's what this kind of reminds me of. I think everyone's rotations are pretty set. And again, you look at the center market. Anthony, I believe Jonas Valanciunas, the guy I'm not really a fan of, but he's not even trade eligible until December. You go around Walker Kessler in Utah. Like I think Danny Ainge is not letting him out the door for the package the Lakers want to give up. You just go through the league. Like this needed to be something you take care of. If it was a priority, we had this whole podcast a few pods ago about the Lakers big man situation in the last few years. It's just not prioritized, in my opinion, in the way that it should be. Like you're putting this at October, like you're looking for a big in October. What 7-footer that can defend the rim and play backup center is coming to you, off the market? And the ones that are like, again, I hope Christian Coloco like comes through, but those are the bigs that are in your pickings when you come pick this
Yeah.
late. Bigs that with all these, not red flags, but these marks of questions. So yeah, that's where I think this is the rotation they're gonna have. I like Jackson Hayes. Like I've liked the role they have him in. Like very simplified role, screen, cut to the rim. He has good chemistry with D'Lo. Like I've liked, what I've seen from Jackson Hayes so far. They're mixing in different defensive coverage for him, and I think I think Laker fans should expect Jackson Hayes as the backup center. Christian Wood is still weeks away, I believe, at the best case scenario. So I just, Anthony, I don't see a center out there that's coming in. Do you? I just, if you had to put, so like, I just don't see a center that they're going to trade for, give real assets for in October. I just don't see it.
I mean, how many times, Raj, have we talked about like stop procrastinating, stop going into a season with a glaring hole because it puts you behind the eight ball. If Rob was to call Danny at this point about Walker Kessler, Danny's gonna be like 2 first rounders. Do you have some extra seconds? Like, and by the way, like, I think Hayes is fine for now.
Right. That's what it is.
Like Hayes is your leverage. Is that he's good enough to be your like 15-minute a night big who play. So let's say you have a 40-minute game, AD plays 35 minutes. You have 13 minutes there at center, and then you'll have 2 minutes of overlap where the two guys play along, or 2 to 4 minutes or so of overlap where the two guys play alongside each other, and that gets Jackson in that like 15 to 17 minute a night range. He's fine for that early on in the season. Over the course of the year, and depending on how much, JJ did say that he liked what it looked like, where they had a big back there and they were able to switch 1 through 4, and AD was able to be more of that pterodactyl as a weak side defender.
Yeah.
If they like it enough, maybe you give up assets, if not for Walker Kessler, but for a Walker Kessler equivalent, and just depending on whose price is where. But I would be pretty surprised if they did something early on that involved legitimate draft capital, because Jackson is a fine October big. He's a fine November big.
Right. He's a fun, like he's probably, I don't know, best case, but he's kind of what you get at the minimum center market, right? If you're going to go allocate the minimum to your non-AD centers, this is kind of what you get. Or you get Christian Wood, right? Like who has a lot of defensive deficiencies. Like I think that's what you get. And I think Jackson Hayes is probably best case for that. Like obviously JaVale is a guy who's kind of beloved from the 2020 year. I don't think Jackson and JaVale are like extremely far off. Like I was, and JaVale eventually was so good he had to get something that was more than the minimum. Dallas paid him like a 3-year deal and then immediately regretted it, but it's because
Yeah.
he got benched. But I think Jackson Hayes can kind of fill that role in the role that you're talking about. Few minutes next to AD, few minutes as his backup center, and let AD eat up the 38 to 40 minutes, whatever it is. But yeah, if you're allocating those type of resources to your center, this is what it's going to look like. But Jackson Hayes has played well. He's screening well. He's rolling to the rim. He's doing what he's supposed to do. He has to be a vertical threat, and that's what he's been on the offense. The defense is still a work in progress. But
I've been somewhat disappointed from what I've seen from Castleton too. You know, the Lakers have been waiting for this guy to take that next step and waiting for him to take that next step and waiting for him to take that next step. And I'm just watching him out there and he's just so physically outmatched. You know, he's so like, he's not athletically where he needs to be to compete at that level. And, you know, we kind of saw this with Jay Huff in the G League, where Jay was a really, really good G League big, and then he would come up or he just wouldn't get minutes. And then when he finally got minutes, you're like, okay, that's why. I hope that's not how things play out here for Castleton, but I just, you know, I'm pretty underwhelmed whelmed at best by Castleton. I'm not saying cut him. I'm not saying anything like that. There's still plenty of time for him to take that next step in the G League. And then maybe, you know what he needs to do, Raj? He needs to bulk up. Like,
100%.
he gets moved off his spot so easily. And I'm not expecting him to be some high flyer big, but if you're not going to be a high flyer, you better be difficult to move. And he is so easy to move.
Right. Yeah. And again, I think Castleton, like, it's not his fault, but he was drafted as this offensive hub center who can like be a hub of an offense, right?
Yeah.
Run the offense from the top of the key and players move around him. Lakers just don't have a need for that right now. They have too many guards. They have AD who's going to take up the bulk of the center, and Castleton can't play the 4, just not athletically, gifted enough to play that. So I don't know. It's tough. And again, I get it from Castleton. He's like, that's the player I was. Like, that's the player I played really well in college. I'm averaging 20 and 10 in the G League. Like, this is my game. And, either I get enough minutes to show it or I don't. But I can see why he wouldn't want to just bulk up to, get the minutes he needs. So, yeah, it's been rough for him. I'm excited to watch him, and I think he's going to get some more minutes in South Bay again. So, he's played well there. I think he helps the team a lot. But in a tough position, I just don't think he fits the need the Lakers need. And it's a tough place to be for a guy on a two-way.
Yeah. All right. Last thing here, and I really, really, really don't want to spend any more time than we absolutely need to on this. But Shams did also say that the Lakers could be looking to play Bronny opening night. In order to play this. And I tweeted out, look, if this is just a publicity stunt, if all it is a photo op so that he and LeBron can be out there on the court together, you may as well start the guy, get it over with, and move right back into NBA rotations as soon as you possibly can. People didn't like that. People didn't think that I, this or that or the other about my response to it. But my thing is literally just this. It's not a basketball play, right? Like, we can all agree it's not a basketball play.
Sure.
And if it isn't a basketball play, how quickly can we get back to the actual basketball? That's all that I'm coming from here. It'll be cool to see it. Those pictures are going to go super viral, and it'll be a really cool moment for the James family. All that stuff, great, cool, great. Let's win a basketball game. Like, the Lakers aren't going to be in a position this year where they can just be fine with prioritizing anything other than winning basketball games, because we saw where they were last year. And we know that they're trying to make up the margins for that. And we're hoping that JJ is better than Darvin, and that improves the margins. So you're working with a little bit more margin for error this year than you were last year. And that's all fine. And I hope that it works out in practice in the way that it is pictured in theory. But
yeah,
as it stands right now, if you want to do, because people were like, well, how bad could it be if it was like the last 5 minutes of the first half just to get it done with? And I'm like, do you guys remember how frustrating the last few minutes of quarters were all year last year because of, what lineups or matchups or situational awareness? Like, that stuff hurt the Lakers last year. And if it's only one game and you're only going to do it just for the photo op anyway, just get it done, get it over with, and move right back onto the basketball. That's all I'm saying.
And I think they will. Like I think everyone around knows that this is not a basketball move, and I think that's okay. Like I think this is a very special moment for LeBron, for Bronny. I'm sure Bronny's dream was also to play in the league in some capacity, right? And he's gonna get that chance. I think they're gonna get this done early. You can't start him. That's like again, I don't watch movies, but like there's a way to like to act it where it's it's not real, but it's still like you have to have some type of realness into it. I don't think I put that correctly, but
no, I mean like there's way to mask things, sure.
Exactly, yes. And look, the whole world knows
But
what this is, right? Like
I
if
don't
this
think
is
that's true, Raj. Not based
they
on my mentions today. There were people legitimately saying like that. Look right here, Shando bombs. We got too many point guards. Move D'Lo and JHS because you know why? Because Bronny needs actual minutes. Like there are people out there who are like, see this guy's an NBA prospect, and he isn't. Not right now. He's a couple years away from being a couple years away.
right.
And like, and by the way, that's fine. You know that the best thing that we can actually do for him, Raj, is just this: play him the few minutes that he needs to play with LeBron, just so that LeBron can make his history, and then send him down to the G League, and everybody can forget he exists. That's the best case scenario for him.
And I think that's what's going to happen. I think the Lakers
Well,
are.
I don't think
I think
everybody's going to forget about him, but
okay, but no, for sure, no. I'm gonna make sure of that. But like I think like I think the Lakers. I think JJ Redick. I think Rob Pelinka. I think everyone involved here. Rich Paul as his agent. LeBron obviously as his father. I think they all understand. Look, Bronny needs time. But we're going to get this history done because everyone's going to ask for it. And it's a cool thing to do. It's an awesome thing. It's an achievement that I'm not sure we'll ever see again in the NBA, right? A player, LeBron, who's this good and having his son to be able to play on the same team as him. Did LeBron, make some chess moves to make this happen? Absolutely. And that, like, I think most people have accepted that and are, have accepted that as the reality. It's going to be, I think it's going to be very insignificant minutes. Bronny's not going to play for like a 6-minute straight stretch, but the Timberwolves go on an 18-0 run. Like that is not going to happen. Like the Lakers are not about to let that happen. It's going to be some portion of the game that's insignificant. I don't know when that is. I'm sure there will be a time, score, and place for that. Obviously, the Lakers aren't telling you when that's going to be. Shams obviously said it's the first game. That doesn't mean that has to be the place. That doesn't have to be like that. If Minnesota, Anthony, let me put it this way, okay? Because I think this is your concern, and I'm seeing it in like your face. If Minnesota's like so let's say, all right, TNT game, opening night. Lakers are historic for being terrible on opening night, by the way. But opening night, Minnesota, I believe we're at home, if I have that correctly. Let's say Minnesota jumps up, Anthony, 18-2. Right? They jump up 18-2. I promise you, if that lead stays, Bronny's not playing in that game. He's not coming in. If Minnesota is up like 20 that whole game, Bronny's not coming in to play. Like that's not happening. So they're
wait,
gonna
so
have
if you're down by 16, you still aren't playing him?
if you're down and like you're getting your butt kicked, no, you're not throwing Bronny into that game. Like you're not having the LeBron Bronny moment
So
in a place where you're getting
dude, we are whittling the situation that we can actually do this way down.
how am I willing? It has to be a basketball situation that makes sense. It can't like
All
put
right, then it's
a
LeBron
problem.
playing in the G League. Like if you're talking about
I would
a
I would
basketball
absolutely
situation that makes sense.
I would absolutely love that. Like that would make my year. That would be so incredible. If I drive down there and LeBron is like suiting up, which I'm
Yeah,
not sure
LeBron's
is
there
legal.
like stretching it out.
See the other team like, what the hell?
Hold on. Could you imagine being the poor bastard who has to guard LeBron James that night? It's like those guys who play in the in like the Drew League, right?
Right.
Like you're like, yeah, hey
Why
babe,
is DeMar DeRozan here?
I'm gonna go
Like,
play at I'm gonna go play at the Drew today.
yeah.
You can look for my highlights later. You walk back into the house. Hey babe, I was looking for those highlights. You don't need to find them. We're good. Oh man, no, I don't know. I would prefer they get it done. I would rather it's going to be forced. It is forced. It's inherently forced.
Sure.
Like it is forced. So like I would rather force it opening night, get it done, and then everybody just gets to move on. Because like, and the sooner that we can all move on, and the sooner that Bronny can focus on his development in the G League, and the sooner that the Lakers can focus on just playing basketball and winning basketball games, the better for everybody. And that was all my point. Do I actually think he's going to start? Of course not. Come on, guys. But like, if it is such a priority to the Lakers and to LeBron to actually get this done and force this thing across a home plate, then fine, whatever. Just, make it as insignificant as possible. And, the problem with making it that insignificant is that everybody's going to know it is for what it is. And it'll be them admitting it is for what it is. But like, still, I would rather deal with the press of it being like, hey, was that just like a photo op over, hey, you guys lost by 2 and Bronny was a minus 17 in his 8 minutes out there. Like, are we not supposed to connect dots here?
Yeah, never mind. I just don't think you're gonna get that question because I think that's assumed. That's known. It's obviously like again a player of Bronny's, and I'm saying he was obviously a legit prospect coming out before the cardiac issue and before the 1 year at USC. There was, I believe, Draft Express had him going in the first round, so that's a legit prospect at that time. But I think most people know the deal and they've accepted it, and I think it's fine. LeBron and Bronny can have their minute. Bronny is not ready to play, and I think if you saw the rotation tonight, JJ usually does his real rotation in the first half, and the second half kind of plays out the end of the bench. I don't believe Bronny played the first half, if I have that correctly, or he might have came in really late. But yeah, so I think that shows Bronny is not a part of the rotation, right? And I think he's even behind JHS in the rotation. And we just had the conversation of Max versus Dalton, who play the guard position on this team. There are no minutes for Bronny.
JHS.
That's conversation for another day. But like Bronny's so far away from real rotation minutes. So like I understand wanting to get this out of the way, and it's an achievement for LeBron and it's an achievement for the LeBron James family that, it's a special moment for them. And I think the Lakers recognize that. I think the whole world recognizes that, Anthony. I think there are very few people who are coming on like Bronny can guard. Throw Bronny on day one. Throw him on Anthony Edwards. He has defense. Like I don't think that's a very
Here's my thing.
calculation.
Here's my last thing on this, and then we'll end the show.
Okay.
Why would it be such a terrible thing to just let him develop in the G League and later in the year, after he's gotten his reps, after he's more accustomed to NBA basketball, even at the G League level, at that, like bringing him up later in the year, injuries happen. Like why does it have to happen on opening night? Why does it have to happen right away? Like, is it hurting anybody in the world to just say, hey, Bronny isn't ready right now? Because he's not. Who is that actually hurting? Admitting the truth. And just saying like, hey, Bronny's not ready. We want to let him get his reps and get his body right and get his mind right. And for that moment that he walks onto the court with LeBron, he can actually be a basketball player there and not a pawn for the pictures, for the tweets.
Sure. It doesn't have to be opening night, but I think there's a level. I'm not saying he's a distraction, but I think the story will be a distraction. And I think the team wants to, again, I'm saying getting it done just has a negative connotation to it, right? Like get it over with is kind of the connotation of it. I just think like this is a story. Let's celebrate it here. And then we can like move on, right? I think that's what this is. And I think that's totally fine. And Anthony, I think by sending him to the G League is telling you he's not ready. By not playing him in this first half is telling you he's not ready. Like their actions tell you that. Maybe the words,
but like if that's what they're telling us and that's what they want to tell us, then why make the exception and be like, okay, but he's ready for this? Because like here's the thing,
you want him to earn these minutes.
Well,
That's what you're saying.
JJ went out of his way and like yelled at reporters at Bronny's like introductory presser. He's like, I want you guys to know this right now. This dude earned it. And he was like adamant about this. And he's like yelling at anybody who would hear about it. And it's like, okay, that's cool to say. But if you're basically just playing him to, again, I guess we aren't supposed to use this phrase either, but like get this out of the way so that it isn't a distraction, then it's not earned. It isn't. It's earned, or if it is earned, it's earned by LeBron. And that honestly is the way that you could frame it. Is like LeBron has earned this. But you know, the issue there is that like, okay, cool. So it is that N-word thing, the nepotism thing, right? It is that thing. And you know, if it is, and we know it is, but if it is, then JJ can't sit there and tell us Bronny earned this, and we're investing in Bronny, and we're doing this because it's Bronny. Like, you know, and that's fine, by the way. Like, all I'm saying is, I don't think it hurts anybody for him to just kind of like chill in the G League, get his reps. You know, you're going to have a couple of pulled hamstrings over the course of the year. You know that he's on an NBA contract. It's not like he's on a two-way, right?
Sure.
Mm-hmm. You know, there are going to be opportunities, guys get in foul trouble, even with and in that moment, you can have that happen and it can be celebrated as such when it happened. And it's actually organic. The problem there though, Raj, the reason why that won't happen is because they don't want it to happen on like a Wednesday night in Charlotte. They want it to happen on national TV, and they want it's a photo op, and that's fine. I'm just going to accept it for what it is. But I need people to stop yelling at me, telling me that it isn't what it is.
Also, like, let's be real, LeBron is turning 40 in December, and Bronny may, like the thing you're talking about, Bronny may not earn those minutes this season. Like, he may not be good enough to earn those minutes this season.
But it's easier to mask it as if he earned them, right? If it happens later in the year and there's injuries and stuff, you could frame it. There's a way that you could frame it and say like, hey, look at this, you know, but like now it is just what it is right now. And again, if people are okay with that, if Lakers fans are okay with that, if you're okay with that, fine. I'll shut up. I can't because I'm paid to talk, but I'll shut up on this front. I'll just accept it for what it is. But I want people to admit to me that this is actually what it is, that it isn't about basketball. It is nepotism, and it isn't about Bronny earning it. It's about LeBron earning it. And that's if that's what you want to tell me, then cool. We can all move forward accepting it is for what it is. My problem to this point is that I keep getting pissed on, and people are telling me it's a lovely rainy day outside, and it's not.
Sure. And I know most people don't believe me, but G League games are also on TV, right? Those are games that people can watch. And so like if Bronny doesn't play well there, like, so like, I think Lakers are moving out as many variables as they can. We'll get this done right away on game one, or wherever that is. And we'll make a nice time and place for it. And then we can move on, with the basketball. And like, you're right, Anthony, but I mean, like, was Thanasis on the Bucks because he can play basketball? No, he was on the Bucks because his brother's
6'8". He's at least terrible. Built like an NBA player.
He's not an NBA player. He's not an NBA player.
He's built like one. LeBron is barely built like one. He's 6'2". He's 6'1".
That's not the point. Thanasis would not make an NBA roster.
You're right.
The Knicks,
neither would Chris Smith, and neither would. You know, we can go down all of these.
That's what I'm saying. That there's precedent for this, right? And yes, LeBron. If LeBron wasn't,
those guys
LeBron,
don't play though. Thanasis doesn't play. Chris Smith doesn't play.
Bronny's not going to play.
Like, man, why are you so worked up over the 55th overall pick? Because most 55th overall picks don't play opening night. There aren't reports that guy's going to play opening night. That's the difference.
And most 55th picks, their dad isn't LeBron freaking James. Like, so that's the difference. That's the difference.
That then. Admit that. That's fine. If that's what people are saying,
you can't say that out. Like, like, they're telling you that with the actions. Though the actions are telling you that, but you can't come out.
But the problem is that like fans are taking them at their actions, or at their word. I wish people would take them at their actions, but they're taking them at their word. When JJ sits up there and tells us like, "How dare you question this guy's spot in the NBA? How dare you?" And I'm like, I'm questioning it. I have a question, couple questions over here, you know, like that's my only thing is that like, honestly, there are some other issues that I have with it, but we don't need to get into those. The biggest thing is like today over the course, I wound up muting that tweet, and I rarely mute tweets, but I wound up muting the tweet because I had so many people yelling at me, like really, really angry at the fact that I'm questioning whether or not this guy belongs in the NBA when he clearly doesn't. And that's fine. It's fine that he doesn't, because most 55th picks don't. The issue is those 55th picks aren't also expected to play on opening night. And that's the big difference here.
Yeah. My last thing, it's just when you say expected to play, like he's not expected to contribute to the win. Like he's expected to play with his dad. Like that's what the expectation is. And I think most of the world is like, this is a really dope thing that we can watch and, you know, have it, even if it's a little bit scripted, right? There's a Hollywood kind of script to this. Similar, not similar, but like, remember the Andre Ingram last game? Like Andre Ingram was never getting an actual contract with the Lakers. Like
but he earned that moment though. He fought his ass off in the G League, and he got that opportunity, and he made his best with the opportunity. Like this, Bronny didn't earn this moment. Like he didn't, you know?
I think you can make I think the argument is Bronny's no less an NBA prospect than a lot of 55th picks that teams take a chance on, right? A guy who's coming out.
We agree on. I agree with everybody 100%. I don't have a problem with him being drafted. I wouldn't have had a problem with him being signed as an undrafted free agent. I don't mind on any of those things. The difference is when we take the next step and it's like, well, he's going to, because my thing is, Raj, what if the line keeps moving? What if he comes out for a second stint in the second half? What if he plays on the second night of the NBA season? What if he keep like at what point do we actually say like, all right, guys, we're good? Because like, you know,
I don't think first of all, I don't think Bronny, anyone wants Bronny playing minutes when he's not ready for them, right? The only way this happens if like Bronny comes out and just plays extremely well, right?
Which would be freaking awesome. People were telling me that I'm like rooting against Bronny. If he knocks down a 3-pointer, I'll be just as happy as everybody else, because that would be a dope moment.
That's the only way.
Like 1 for 17 in 3-pointers to this point.
Because I think what you're worried about, like that's the only case of where what you're worried about happens. If he comes out, locks up whoever, Anthony Edwards or whatever, whoever's in the game at that time, and then hits like 2 catch and shoot threes, and if that happens and he's playing well, then they're gonna keep him out there, and he's gonna earn actual NBA minutes. That's a real route that can happen. I think it's a very unlikely road that can be traveled, but like that is a road that's created from this. I just think like what you're worried about, that's the only case this happens, is if he plays out of his mind. Out of his mind is not fair, but like way past his current expectations, then like you'll be getting more Bronny minutes in game 2. But I think you're gonna get the cool moment, and we'll all not move on, but we'll get past this for now.
All right. Ashley Larraboy with a fair point. You're asking the organization to say it's nepotism. No organization would say that. You've seen the invention of lying. You don't say certain things, and that's fine. I don't expect the Lakers to come out and say that. I want the fans to be able to admit it, though. Like we can say what's what. I know that like Jesse and Jim Buss, no. So first it was Jim. I know he didn't earn that gig. He was a horse race enthusiast before his dad asked him to come run the Lakers. Like Jeannie is the closer of the two to earning her spot in that she currently has, because she actually worked with the Lakers for a long time when she took over. But again, like as been evidenced by, some of her decisions to this point that go unquestioned because of the nepotism, like, I'm not saying the Lakers would ever say that like Rob is there by cronyism or that Curtin and Linda are there by cronyism, but no fan is sitting there telling me that I have to be happy about the cronyism. No Lakers fan is like, all right, guys, we really got to be happy about the fact that like Linda Rambis is making these decisions. Girl power, let's go. Like, no, nobody's saying that. Like, that's the difference to me here, is that like people are telling me that like, all right, yes, it is nepotism, but we have to be happy about this nepotism. I'm like, I don't think I do. And then eventually when it happens, I'm going to celebrate the moment because it is unique. It is historic. It's really effing awesome. I want to be 1,000,000,000% clear there. It is a really cool moment and an incredible achievement by LeBron. An incredible achievement. And then we can move on and we can refocus on the basketball. That's all that, by the way, would benefit Bronny here too. Because the sooner he's out of that limelight, the better for him.
I agree. And I think that's what's going to happen. I don't think you have to be concerned whether Bronny's about to take a rotation spot, be in the 9-man rotation, get 3-4 games under his belt before they demote him back to the G League. I think he gets his moment. Really quickly, while you were talking, I Googled The Intention of Lying. I guess that's a movie that came out.
Lying, yeah.
Okay. I thought it was like a phrase, and I Googled it. It's a 2009 movie.
Yeah. I think it's like with Ricky Gervais or Jack Black.
You've seen Intention of Lying. He knows you've seen it. Is that like a popular movie?
It was fairly popular. I don't think I ever saw it, or if I did, it was like a Netflix movie that I would fall asleep to. But it was like it was fairly popular in its time, and it was actually kind of a cool concept, right? Because this guy lives in a world where nobody ever lied, and then he gets this really, really hot girl by saying that he's like a zillionaire. And she believed him because nobody had ever lied before, right?
Oh, wow.
And it's like, yeah, and so, but even I don't know. I never watched the movie from start to finish, never finished the movie. But I would imagine at some point he like made one too many lies, I'm guessing. I don't know. And you kind of move on from there. But all right, that is going to do it here for this episode of the Lakers Lounge podcast. Kind of a weird schedule this week, right? Because we had the bonus episode this morning or today with John Krasinski. That is also here on the channel and is also already in your RSS feed. That was a really fun conversation. John is the best. So you're going to want to check that out. And then, this is going to be split up the way that it normally is split up for your guys' enjoyment tomorrow morning. And then that's going to do it here for this week's episodes here in the Lakers Lounge. So until next week and until the next time you guys hear from us, I'm Anthony Irwin. That was Raj Chapalu. And this has been the He-Man Bronny Hater Club. Have a great rest of your weekend. Make somebody else's.
I'm not part of that. Keep me out of that one.
I'm rooting for you, Bronny. I swear to God I am. I just want you put in the best position for you to succeed, not for your dad to get a photo op. All right. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.
Bye, everyone.